Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do my second video on, and I have no idea how many videos this is going to have, but this is my second video on my journey with Hecate's Cave. And right now what I'm doing is, I keep getting interrupted, obviously with appointments and different things like that. However, I'm working on creating like the whole thing that she asks you to, like creating my environment, right? And like my space, my altar, the different tools I'm going to use, all that different stuff. So just we're gonna jump right straight into it. Um, I've picked a couple touchstones to kind of work with, and I have a piece of obsidian. I have on my altar, I have a huge amethyst. I have a clear quartz with black tourmaline in it. So those are things that I'm going to be kind of like, they're already on my altar, but I'm going to be using those because those are kind of crystals that resonate with Hecate. Um, I've already picked my aviary companions. So like a bird companion, right? And she does talk about how there's a lot of birds that are associated with Hecate. And a lot of them are, different birds like owls, raptors, goldfinches, obviously crows and ravens is the common one you see her with, vultures, different things like that. I would have picked vultures. However, the vultures from this area have moved on and migrated for the winter. So they're not here right now. I wanted to pick a bird that was here all year. And so I spent some time contemplating this and figuring this out. And I was just kind of like, what bird do I want to work with? Like, what resonates with me? And the one morning I was at my tea kettle and I was making myself my morning tea. And I had just gotten up and I was staring out the window and just kind of like daydreaming. And all of a sudden I focused in on a tree that was a fair distance away. And I could see a great big huge eagle sitting in it. And I've never seen that before. Like, that's, I mean, like, not here. Like, obviously driving around, traveling, seeing different things. Yes, I've seen eagles. I've seen eagles in trees. However, I have not seen eagles in the trees of Merlin. First of all, Merlin has like next to no trees because I'm in a farming community that thinks it's a great idea to cut down all of its trees and natural land and shrubbery. And it's very, very unappetizing and not aesthetically pleasing. So there's not very many trees, which is completely against me and who I am, and is one of the hardest things about being here, is the lack of respect of the land, as well as just the fact that they cut down all the trees and don't even think twice about it. That really bugs me. Sorry, that was irritating me. um, so I saw this eagle sitting in the tree, and I was like, wow, like that is crazy cool. There's an eagle hanging out in that tree. So I got out my binoculars, checked it out. Sure enough, it was a juvenile eagle, possibly a golden eagle. Could have been a golden eagle, but I think it was a juvenile bald eagle. Not 100% sure. And then later on that day, we had a hawk sitting in our yard. And I was like, okay, obviously the raptor birds are speaking to me because those are birds that we don't typically see in the vicinity of our home or in our yard. So I was like, all right, got my message. There's my birds. And you need to have, well, they said she should suggests for you to have something to look at that kind of connects with that. So I pulled out my animal decks and I was just flipping through them trying to find, because I was like, well, I'm just going to use tarot cards or an oracle and use the pictures of the cards, right? So I ended up grabbing the Untamed Spirit Animal Oracle, and it happened to have the birds that I wanted to work with. So right off the get-go, I was naturally drawn to the owl. However, because there's no trees and there's no owls, so I knew like the chances of me maybe seeing an owl is really next to none. But I was naturally drawn to originally work with the owl. So I pulled out the owl card, and then it had a golden eagle card. It doesn't necessarily, like, to me, it can just be an eagle card. It doesn't have to be specifically a golden eagle, right? But I pulled out for that eagle image. So I've got my two birds that I want to work with. You only need one, but I pulled out two because I felt like this is a bird of the day and this is a bird of the night. So I felt like I was drawn to do this. So I did it. Instead of picking one bird, I picked two. So these are the ones that I have, and I have these sitting on like a little stand on my altar. So I have my birds picked out. And then I ended up going through the witch's tarot, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And I pulled out the Hekate card, and I was like, okay, so I've got that sitting on my altar with my birds. So I have that kind of happening. My decks, if you saw my first video, I was unsure of what decks I was going to use to work with. I ended up deciding on the Witch's Tarot, and I'm hoping it's going to do what I want it to do. If it's not, I'm going to switch it out for the Wanderer's Tarot because that's the one I was naturally gravitating towards. However, I do think that this is going to be just as good, so I'm going to give it a shot. I wanted to work with it. This is how I'm going to try to do it. So I ended up grabbing the Witch's Tarot. And for my oracle or days that I don't feel like maybe using tarot, I'm going to use the Outgrow Yourself. So maybe where I want like more of a little direct, quick pull, a little direct, quick message, I can look at the little phrases that are on this deck, and that's what I'm going to do. So I have my two decks picked. So that's my two decks right here is the Witches and the Outgrow Yourself. And then I had this that I pulled my animal cards from, which I'm not going to use for anything else other than that. And so that's kind of how I began. Now, she also says that you need to come up with a sacred box. When she calls it a Cista Mystica in here, which is a sacred box or a container that can hold all of your symbols, your sigils, and any other objects or things that you collect on your way through this whole journey through Hecate's cave, right? Um, Now, I ended up getting a wooden box from my husband, and I smudged it, cleansed it, cleaned it all out, put all the stuff through it. I anointed it with a seer's oil as well as a blessing oil and gave that a whole little situation. Drew like a bunch of symbols in it, whatever. It was awesome with the oils so that they dried and they disappeared. But then I started thinking to myself, maybe, like, I don't know if my husband is expecting that back. I hope he doesn't. He might, though. So I was at Michael's the other day and I ended up grabbing just one of their black, like, photo boxes. I have this as well, too. And I was trying to decide if, like, it's better for me to use this as opposed to the wooden box. But the thing that's really nice about the wooden box with the lid is it actually has like a little latch on it. And any incense or like oils or anything I use on it, it goes into the wood and it actually stays smelling that way. And it smells amazing. So right now the wooden box is sitting up there and it's at my altar. But I'm trying to decide if I'm going to switch these out. And I'm 50-50 on that. Part of me is like, no, I'm going to keep the wooden box. And then part of me is like, no, maybe I should go to this black cardboard box. I'm not really sure. So I'm still up in the air about that. Now, as for my stones, like I said, I have my touchstones. So I have my touchstones in the altar, and I'll show you those too as well. That I can just kind of refer to or touch or spend time with. My altar is actually in my bedroom because my bedroom is the altar of the church. So I live in a 120-year-old decommissioned church. It has been decommissioned for over 20 years. It has been repoed a million times. It has gone through it's had a crazy life. It's mine and my husband's now. We bought it in 2019. And anything church related or church like has been stripped from it. The only thing it has that's churchy is the stained glass windows. But even with that said, the original stained glass windows were removed and it had different windows made for it that aren't religious based. And then the pulpit was still here, but it had been ripped out and was sitting off to the side. All of the pews and any of that stuff was gone. The big, huge main altar was gone. The only thing that was left is like a piece of wood that sat like above the altar. It says holy, holy, holy like 3 times. And we actually just turned it into like an art piece and hung it up on the wall because it's one of the only things that was left from the days of this being a church. So my bedroom is the altar, and me and my husband sleep in separate spaces because my husband is usually on like some ridiculous shift and he snores so bad. It sounds like he's sucking the entire room into his face. So I can't sleep with him. I did for years, and then finally I was like, "No, I'm done." We moved into this place. It's big, and I was like, "I'm going to have my room upstairs. You have your room downstairs." It works good for him because he comes in and out at all hours of the night for work, and it doesn't disrupt me because I'm upstairs, so it works really good. The layout of this place is a little strange, but it really works well for our lifestyle and what we do. So my bedroom is in the altar space, and my altar is right where the church altar was. Why? Because nothing else seemed to work there. And when I do the video, I'll show you guys. Like, I'm going to add a little video into this and I'll show you guys and talk about it all. But it's just a weird space. Energetically, there is so much energy that you can't, like, I put chairs there to like have like a little spot to read books. I couldn't. I would sit down to try to read a book and it would make me all like heebie-jeebie because there's just too much energy. There's too much energy going on. So it just sat vacant forever. And I was like, I don't even know what the frick to do with this space. And it's kind of like up on a little stagey platform thing. So it's really weird. And the little stage area isn't big enough for like a bed or like a table or like it's a really awkward size. So it just kind of sat vacant for a while and it looked really weird. And what I ended up doing is I ended up throwing my meditation stuff there just to get it out of the way. And it just ended up staying there. And then that meditation space I ended up having an altar put in, like my personal altar that I work on and do stuff with. There's some crystals there, there's some stuff. So it's kind of became like my yoga, meditation, altar, relaxation spot. It's really weird, but it is what it is, and I have to kind of utilize the floor space as best as possible. So the altar space is where my altar is, and then they're huge rooms. So then further down is like my bed, my closet, and all of that stuff. So the altar space is I can really honestly get up out of bed, get dressed, walk over, do my morning routine at my altar, do a couple stretches, whatever. The bathroom, my personal little bathroom is off to the side. So it really honestly works quite well for me. So my altar space is where the altar originally was for no other reason other than that's just where it needed to go because nothing else fit. Um, so up there, getting back to this, I have my touchstones. I have all of my different stuff happening. Um, she has this broken down into these different sections, different chapters, and each chapter she suggests a different crystal to work with. And I have all of the crystals that I need, other than I don't have a garnet, which is crazy because I have tried to buy garnet a million times and I can just never get my hands on one. So that might be the one thing that I need to bring in for myself as a garnet, or maybe I can find like a garnet equivalent, but I feel like garnet crystal is pretty much a garnet crystal. I don't feel like there's too much that can take its spot. I do, however, have a sphere that has garnet in it with another crystal, so I might consider just working with that because it is a darker based crystal. So it might be okay. My rainbow moonstone is just a little tiny piece. So, but I still have it. It's just a tumble though, which end up might end up working better. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. And if I have to get a rainbow moonstone piece of some sorts, then maybe I will, but I really honestly think the tumble will do fine. And I don't want to be buying a whole bunch of stuff to do this. Like this is just something that I wanted to do and I don't want to go out and buy a bunch of stuff to make it happen. I just want to pick like what I have here and make it work somehow. So I've got my stones. I'm ready for that. Um, Now I started reading forward and there's like more stuff I need now. So obviously I need my candles. So I have to pick out my candles today, and I haven't decided if I want to use chime candles or if I want to use like maybe tea candles. But I feel tea candles are a little cheapy. So maybe I'll go with like colored chime candles and maybe pick like a chime candle that is the same color as the crystals of each one of the chapters. So I might do something like that. I haven't quite decided on that quite yet. Um, that's my sacred fire. I have skeleton keys. If you watched any of my previous, like it was an older video, I talk about how skeleton keys just freaking find me. So as you can see, I've got skeleton keys, and there's a couple more. These are just the ones I threw on the table. Skeleton keys find their way to me. Um, so I might be finding a way to incorporate them in, obviously, right? Because Hekate is the keeper of keys and she has her skeleton keys, right? Um, yeah. So at this point, I feel like I've got everything that I kind of need. But she does speak about, there was something in here. I just gotta kind of scan and look. There was another thing that I needed. Maybe not. But that's where I'm kind of at right now. And then I go to my next chapter, which is about the keys. Um, so I pretty much have my space set up. Now I'm going to go and switch to the video right now that I took on my phone. It might be a little wonky. I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to show you my altar and like my spot that I'm using and how I have everything set up. All right, so here it is. Here's my altar space. So see how it's on like a little platform, like a little step up. This is where the original altar would have been. And then up above, I have the big, beautiful stained glass windows. Go all the way to the ceiling almost. So this is my personal altar meditation space and yoga and different things. That's why you got to see the pillows sitting around. But anyways, so this is going to be where I'm going to be working on doing all my different stuff with the Hecate's journey. So I have my 2 decks here. This is my Sista Mystica, which is that wood box that I told you about. I've got right here off to the side, so I've got my 2 birds as well as my Hecate card. I also have my crystal bird skull. That is my personal spirit animal. So that's the brown bear. That always just stays here. And then I have this beautiful big amethyst crystals cave that's behind these cards. The amethyst is associated with Hecate according to her book. So I've got that there. Here is my obsidian touchstone. It's very sharp though, so like I don't want to work with it too much, but I can touch it and do whatever. I have my sodalite snake as this also has to do with, there's some mentioning of the snake animal energy and all that different stuff. So I have that here. Here is my piece of clear quartz with black tourmaline. So it's here. I've got, those are different flower essences and whatnot. So I mean, I can tap into that if I want. But I've got all of a bunch of different crystals here. So here's all of like my meditation palms and different stuff like that. So I have a bunch here that I can choose to work with. The black moonstone is really speaking to me. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do some work with the black moonstone. But I have a bunch here, so I'm ready for that when needs to be. And yeah, so this is like my space that I set up. I have my tablet here that I can read and do stuff with. I have my little meditation poof that I'm sitting on. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I can open up the box and show you a little bit. There's nothing in it right at the moment because you gather things like throughout your journey and put it in there. I have a little bit of things that she said to put in there just to kind of represent yourself or your journey or what you're trying to achieve. So that's what's in there. This box smells so good because I anointed it with oil. So it smells delicious. But Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So I've got my two decks, I'm ready to go. And this is where I'm at. Um, I have my antique cauldron that I have next to me. It's a big one that I can burn things in and is ready to go, been blessed, cleansed, ready to do this journey with. So it's here as well. And yeah, so there's my space. All right, so there was my space and what I'm doing. So obviously, like I said, I don't know how many videos this is going to be. There's going to be things that I can't share because this is a very private, personal journey. And as I'm doing it and going, I'm just picking things and doing stuff. And I wanted to show you guys the different things that I'm doing, and adding in and where I'm going with this. So like I said, hopefully I can shoot some more videos on this. I think I should be able to, like as I do stuff and get going, I can obviously just kind of take out or edit out personal private things. But yeah, so this is kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing. Hopefully, if you're enjoying this, there'll be more videos to follow. Subscribe, like, share, all that awesome stuff. All of my new followers out there, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All of the people who've been following me from the beginning, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you guys on the next one.